Hello to everybody who's about to hear some real potty talk, buddy. Can't get mad, it's medical. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. If you are not in the mood for an intro, it's a pretty tight one. I think it's probably about 5 minutes. If you skip about 5 minutes, you'll get right to the beginning of the phone call. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. It's Chris Gethard. So happy to welcome you to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous, a show where we explore the human condition one anonymous phone call at a time. I feel lucky to be here. I feel lucky to be here with you. Thanks so much to anybody who bought a ticket to check out my variety show that I hosted at UCB New York last week. It was such a fun time. This sketch group ended the show with this bit called The Human Blender, where it got a standing ovation halfway through and then again at the end. Unabashed silliness and joy, the exact type of thing I need right now as we're living in a world that's feeling almost antagonistic to average everyday humans. I need to laugh. I need to be silly. I need to connect with others. I need to have collective experiences. What an absolute joy. Thanks to everybody who checked it out. If you want to see it, you can buy those live stream tickets and watch it back through March 5th, which is tomorrow. It's the day after this drop. So if you get this on Tuesday or Wednesday and you're like, it's $10, I'll support it. And it sounds like at least that one thing crushed. A lot of it crushed. All the comedians crushed. The bands crushed. It was really fun. But the Human Blender thing in particular, you can still go get a live stream ticket, ucbcomedy.com. Go click on their New York shows. February 26th was this show. You get the live stream ticket. It's also up all over my social. Anyway, who cares about that? I thank all of you for everything. I'll keep this one actually quick today. This week's episode is one of my favorites of all time. Look, everybody knows that I enjoy the silliness of poop talk, but this is poop talk with a medical professional and with someone who has a condition where they have to really, really think about poop. And they really, really need to think about their colon. And it is March, which is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And the caller has a lot of experience in her family that actually led to her finding out that her family has a predisposition to colon cancer. So thinks about it really hard. On top of it, professionally is a nurse. You can imagine between those two things, nothing's off limits, and this caller's willing to speak frankly. And I say this. Is there some giggling about poopy stuff in this one? Yeah. But I also point out, too, normalizing this kind of talk, destigmatizing the idea that it's somehow gross to talk about this in the context of medicine, in the context of taking care of yourself, being able to advocate for yourself. I think it actually is worth it. So everybody, the caller called for one simple reason. Make sure you get your annual physical. Make sure you get your colon screenings. Make sure you listen to that doctor's recommended advice about when to get screened. Stay ahead of it. It is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm happy this caller stepped up to the plate and did something to remind us of that. It's a call that I think is at times a little funny, a little scatological, but it all has a really, really good heart and purpose, which is to go, we are going to talk frankly about colon cancer. And I think the caller's family experience and personal experience will really, really make you grateful that this one exists. Thank you so much. We also talk shit about Disney World and the paywall stuff, guys. So if you want to hear what that means, you're going to have to sign up at beautifulanonymous.com. Thanks to everybody who's a member. You get a lot of bang for the buck over there. Enjoy the call.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm feeling some strains in my personal life in ways that I'll keep close to the vest, but overall, life is good, and it's important to verbalize that. How are you?
Absolutely. I would have to say the same.
Okay.
There's always crappy things happening, but focusing on the good helps us get through those crappy things.
Yeah. Well said. What? Very well said.
Speaking of crappy, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
With this,
like literally poop.
You want to listen? Everybody knows I'm ready to talk about poop whenever you are.
Well, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And so I thought this would be a good time to put it out in the world and make awareness of colonoscopies and cancer screenings and talk a little bit about my family history and my personal experience with it, and just let people understand that it's an easy screener, something that should be done and not to be afraid of it.
I love that. I love that so much. I mean, I love spreading awareness. I don't love that it indicates that you have probably had some scary times.
Not yet. Potentially in my future, I could.
So
basically, I have a... Oh, go ahead.
So you are not a survivor, but you are someone who truly is just like, let's get ahead of this conversation. We need to talk about colon cancer and poop because March is coming up.
Well, somewhat. I have a genetic mutation that is hereditary in my family called the Lynch syndrome, and it causes an 80% lifetime risk of colon cancer.
Oh, that's very...
So therefore, because I have this gene mutation, I need to get myself screened for colon cancer every year, which the average person doesn't start till they're 45. Usually it's every 10 years if they don't have problems. But I've been doing it every year since I was 27.
27. And I think you and I are about... I think we just have to make an agreement right now. You and me and everybody listening.
Yeah.
We're going to ask some graphic questions. There's going to be some graphic answers. But honestly, while there will probably be moments where I giggle or take some glee in the poop talk, which I do, I also will say making that conversation normal, trying to destigmatize it. Let's just say that while I will probably giggle and make some jokes along the way as we do the poopy talk, getting to a point where we don't go, ooh, I don't want to talk about that, honestly might help you get ahead of a diagnosis, might help save some lives. So let's just get into it and recognize some graphic questions. So when you say you have these screenings starting at the age of 27, what's that entail?
Well, colonoscopy.
Full-on colonoscopy every year?
Yeah, every year.
Oh.
Every year. I have one coming up in about 3 weeks.
Every year. I've had a couple colonoscopies in my life. They're not it's not the best. The prep is not good.
Right. That's like the worst part because they put you out for the procedure. So like I get excited because that's like the best nap I've ever taken when they give me drugs to put me out.
Yeah.
But it's the prep that everybody's scared about. And the pooping, because it's not pleasant, that's for sure.
Let's get specific on this. What exactly is so bad about the pooping?
Well, so you start drinking, it depends. Sometimes there's different methods of people clearing out their bowels, as we say. The like main one, the thing that I've done every time is called Go Lightly. And it's just this big jug of powder that you mix with water, and it's a full gallon, and you have to drink it. And basically, it's just like Miralax on steroids. So its whole goal is to get you to shit out everything that's in your colon, your small intestines, your stomach, because at some point you can't eat. So you start drinking. You have to drink these cups every 15 minutes. And before it starts coming out one end, it starts getting really full in your belly. A lot of people, I've never had this problem, but my brother also has the mutation, and he tends to throw up when he does it because his stomach just gets too full. But usually, I don't know, probably 4 hours after that, you literally start basically urinating out of your asshole. It's straight liquid most of the time. At the beginning, it's a little normal, and then for hours on end, you're going to the bathroom every 5 minutes, basically leaking out of your butthole.
And let's be clear, everybody. We are not even 6 minutes in. We haven't even started the car yet. We haven't even buckled our seatbelts. We're just opening the door to settle in, let alone the highway. I've done it. I know what you mean. The feeling of urinating out of your asshole is a familiar one to me. My most recent colonoscopy, I've been riddled with bad bowels my whole life. On top of it, my diet has never been great. And I did eat at a restaurant, fantastic restaurant that deserves the plug on the show, the Belmont Tavern in Belleville, New Jersey, one of New Jersey's great old school Italian red sauce joints. But I ate the long hots. I ate too many of the long hots, and they got all spicy in my belly and messed my belly up so much that the doctor said, you got to have a colonoscopy because I had too many long hots. Oh. But the doctor did also say to me, you're in your 40s. At some point, we're going to have to do a screening. You're having stomach troubles right now, but let's also just look around, make sure we know what we're dealing with. And everybody does have to get the screenings. You can't avoid them. I thought you were going to say that you got the yearly finger up the butt, but a yearly colonoscopy is a lot. Yearly colonoscopy is a lot. I'd
yearly camera up the butt.
Yearly camera up the butt. Would I rather do the yearly finger up the butt? I mean, I think at this point, I think I'm at the age where I do get the yearly finger up the butt, just the basic check.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't love the yearly finger up the butt. Butt stuff has never been a particular. Butt stuff has never been a particular passion of mine. I get no personal joy in the yearly finger up the butt. But you got to do it when you hit the certain age. The yearly colonoscopy. What else do we need to know? Is there anything you can sense about your own poop or pooping schedule or quality of poop that doctors have given you a heads up of someone who's more high risk than the rest of us that you have to look out for about the actual analysis of poop?
No, not really. Basically, so my grandfather died of colon cancer when he was 49. That was back in the 70s. One of my aunts had colon cancer at 39. My mom, I believe, was 52 when she had colon cancer. So once my aunt had cancer young, she did all of this research and contacted genetic places and found out about this Lynch syndrome, and basically did some blood work, and they single out, because there's like 4 or 5 different genes that could be mutated that qualify to be called Lynch syndrome. So she found the mutation in our family line, and then basically was an advocate to everybody in our family. Came to like family reunions and was like, you need to get checked for this because you need to screen for cancer quicker, all of these things. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Not thinking I would actually have the gene mutation, and lo and behold, I did. So that bought myself these yearly colonoscopies. But it's a 50-50 chance if one of your parents has it that you will have the gene mutation as well. So like I have 2 brothers. One of them has it. One of them does not. Yeah. And so basically
I just want to make sure I know the time. You found out first about this? Or your brother did?
No, my aunt. Oh, I tested before my brother, yes.
Yeah. Oh, but
my mom didn't even get tested. Yes, correct, because my aunt had it. And so my mom didn't even test because she had already had colon cancer at that point. So it was assumed that she had the gene. So then my brothers and I all tested. And yeah, 2 of us have it. One of us doesn't.
Can I ask a tough question? And first of all, I'm sorry that your family deals with this. It's really horrible. Have you lost anyone to colon cancer? And companion question, for those whom the answer is no, what is the actual process of battling colon cancer, and what's that look like?
Mm-hmm. So my grandfather died before I was born of colon cancer, so I didn't know him. While my aunt had colon cancer and my mother had colon cancer, they both have since passed, but not specifically from colon cancer. So part of this Lynch syndrome, like the highest percentage of cancer that you could get in your lifetime is colon cancer. But it also has a higher, average person percentage for a few other cancers, such as like uterine cancer for females, cancers of the urinary tract, and like small bowel cancers. So when my aunt died, she actually died of heart failure from all the chemo and radiation she had over the years for cancer. But when my mom died, she had ureter cancer, which is the tube that goes from your kidney to your bladder. And that was a couple of years after she had colon cancer. And so with Lynch syndrome, like a lot of times people have cancer and then they'll say eventually it metastasized to like a different organ or a different part of your body. Well, with Lynch syndrome, it's not an original cancer that pops up somewhere else. They're like literally different cancers that pop up. So like none of them are treated the same. So like when my mom had ureter cancer, they tried like the typical colon cancer, chemo and treatment regimen, and the uterine cancer treatment regimen because she had that prior to, and none of that helped. And so it eventually took her life when she was 57.
Man, it's brutal. It's really brutal.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of, and I hope this never happens, if it does happen, I hope that it's many, many years from now, but do you have a sense of, should you have one of your annual colonoscopies and a doctor goes, so we have some concerns this year that weren't there last year. Do you have a sense of the game plan, of the things they'll do, of the things you'll need to do to combat either the early warning signs that it's heading towards cancer or even, God forbid, a cancer diagnosis?
Yeah. So when people have a colonoscopy, just for like some education, what they typically find, like especially with screening, is something called polyps. So they're just like little growths in your colon. And there's different kinds of polyps, some of which over the years turn to cancer. And so typically when they're doing a colonoscopy, I think since I've been doing this for like almost 20 years, probably 4 or 5 times I've had polyps. Every time it's been clear, but they like snip those polyps out. So that way they don't have a chance to turn into cancer. And part of the thing is with the average person, colonoscopies are only recommended every 10 years because those polyps takes a really long time to like grow and progress and change into cancer. With this Lynch syndrome, it like multiplies, like, I don't know the percentage, but like 5 times faster than normal. So that's why they recommend doing a colonoscopy for me every year, because a polyp could be there this year that wasn't there last year, but could be cancer by next year. So they need to take it out before it gets to that point. So like my mom had a clean colonoscopy, and at the time they were only advising to do screenings every 2 to 3 years. And she went back after 3 years and had colon cancer, which is not typical for the average person. Mm-hmm. So, basically that's what I bank on. I mean, I do this every year, but I still get nervous every year because it's like, I was with my mom when they told her she had colon cancer. So it's always something in the back of my head, but it's like, that's why I'm adamant about making sure I go every year, because chances of me getting colon cancer are probably going to happen, but because I screen every year, it's going to be caught early. So ideally, the only thing I'll need to do is maybe have some chemo, maybe have a surgery to cut out part of my colon, nothing that should be detrimental to my life, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dealing with what you're dealing with, I would have to imagine one of the silver linings is that a lot of people might get a screening, find out that something has headed in a bad direction, and be told, hey, we're going to have to cut out a chunk of your colon. And that is shocking news that sends them into a panic. You will have had years to brace yourself for it. And even the way you just phrased it,
right,
you're able to go like, oh no, that's an incremental part of something that I really have to start thinking about now. And mentally, it sounds almost like you're able to get ahead of the game on the aspects of the treatment that are severe and feel so severe, but that to you are going to be stuff that you're able to start rationalizing right now.
Correct. And I'm also a nurse too. So, the healthcare stuff I try to keep up on and, know exactly what kind of those things mean. But actually, one of my good friends went just this past year for, he turned 45, and they're like, oh, you should start your colon cancer screening. No family history, went and had rectal cancer. So that's exactly what they did. They had to cut part of his colon out, he had an ostomy bag for a while. Like, luckily, they caught it soon enough that, after several months of healing, they were able to, sew him back together so he can poop normal again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a testament to say, that's why people are screening at 45 now instead of 50. And that's why it's important to at least poop in a box if you're not going to do a colonoscopy, because they have that new fancy poop in a box method.
Talk to me about this. I've heard about this.
Less scary for people.
I've heard about this personally.
So it's called...
Andrea said too, really early on, Andrea said someone that she works with on another job has pooped in a box and sent poop in the mail.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. So they recommend, it's called Cologuard, and it's usually recommended for people, like if you have a family history of colon cancer or have had previous colonoscopies with issues, they don't recommend doing it. But for the average person, which is the majority of people out there, it's a way to get people to screen for colon cancer early, because everyone's so terrified of a colonoscopy and, pooping for hours. So basically, they send you a box in a mail with like a container, and you literally put poop in it and send it back to them. Like, they'll bring UPS to come pick it up and take it back. You don't have to pay for anything. And then they analyze it. And basically, it comes back either positive or negative. And positive doesn't mean you have cancer, but positive means they saw some sort of cells, blood, something that's out of the ordinary of what a stool makeup should be. So so then if it comes back positive, then they say you need to have a colonoscopy within 3 months to make sure nothing's going on. So like if people have hemorrhoids, sometimes hemorrhoids are internal. There might be a little bleeding in there.
Oh, yeah, there might be. We're going to talk about that.
Yep.
Oh, we'll be talking about bleeding hemorrhoids as soon as you wrap up this thought.
They're fun, aren't they?
Let's go ahead and put a pin in that one, because there's a lot of things I need to say.
Cool.
But finish your thought. I do have a basic, I have a juvenile question about the poop box.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So basically, it could mean that there's blood, like microscopic blood even showed up in the stool, but that doesn't mean you have cancer. Or it could be, cells from the polyp that's in there, which means there's a polyp that could turn into cancer, but it might not be cancer yet. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So basically, if you have a yes, then you get to go have a colonoscopy anyway. But at least it has people screening early, and if it comes back negative, then great. They can do it again in 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, very silly question, but one I'm wondering, and I bet I'm not the only person. When you poop into the box, do you squat directly over the box and poop into it, or do you poop into the toilet, then scoop your own poop out of the toilet into the box?
I haven't ever done it myself because I don't get to, but from what I understand, yes, there's a container that you put over. Like, you lift up the toilet seat, set it on there, put the toilet seat down, and then it collects in there. So you don't, drop a load in the water.
So it's almost a hybrid of what I described. So you don't put the box on the floor, but the box has some hooks or attachments, so you're pooping into the toilet in a way that feels relatively normal to you. It's just never reaching the water. That is that's 21st century engineering in action right there.
Right.
That's modern
because the toilet
life.
Water would contaminate.
I know. It was all I could think about. Like, do they have to tell people, hey, try to aim for the side of the toilet so the poop never reaches the water? And then you got to do like a pretty thorough toilet scrub down every time you do this because you just intentionally pooped on the porcelain? No. Modern engineers. Some engineer got a degree from an engineering school and used it to design the poop catcher that will help save lives. And God bless them for doing so.
Yeah. And literally, Cologuard is a big, huge company, and that's all they do is analyze poop.
I do
open boxes of poop and test them.
Almost like what 23andMe has done for saliva, Cologuard does for poop.
Absolutely.
We'll say this company has good intentions. They're making screening easier. They're making it something you can do from the comfort of your home.
Right.
I am supportive of it. I am a little wary of any product in this field that insists on using some sort of either pun or portmanteau that involves cola, because all I can think of is the SNL sketch Colon Blow, which is the extra high fiber cereal. I don't think you need...
Yep, I remember that.
I don't know if Cologuard... It also sort of sounds like Color Guard, like the people who flip flags around in marching bands. There's a bunch of reasons that I might say that the branding of calling it Cologuard is prone to getting giggles or groans. But that being said, anything that allows you to get proactive from the comfort of your home, I'm into it. I'm all about it. But that being said, the name could have maybe used a couple more pitch sessions, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and they have commercials on TV for it, and their little mascot is basically a little box with arms and face and hands that like trots around and tells you, you know, have the box sent to you, poop in the box, send it back to us. Yeah.
And let's pause there. I've never been happier with an episode's balance of we get to talk about poop, but guys, it's about colon cancer awareness. It's an important thing. It's really having your cake and eating it too, which I know is a weird thing to say when we're talking about poop. Anyway, we've got some ads. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack sponsor. IQ Bar is the better-for-you, plant protein-based snacks made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. I love IQ Bars. I love all their products. Just this very morning, my wife, Hallie, who has come on the commercials with me to talk about how much she loves the IQ Joe, which she calls coffee sticks. She said to me, my ad read for coffee sticks was so genuine and so good. I hope IQ Bar gives us a lifetime subscription of coffee sticks. And I said, we can also just buy the IQ Joe product and support this company because they do great stuff. She loves it so much, she's trying to actually scheme and scam her way into a lifetime supply. That's so hilarious. That is not my wife. Hallie doesn't act like that. She only acts like that when she loves something so much that she will be unabashedly out of her own personality in how she reacts to it. And I'm telling you, Hallie Bullitt loves IQ Joe so much, but that's not all they've got. IQ Bar, first of all, the plant protein bars are packed with high quality ingredients, keep you physically and mentally fit. I keep them in my bag. I keep them in my cupboard. I had one this morning. Absolutely great grab and go. I'm somebody who likes a really small breakfast. I'm also somebody who often, you know, we're getting Cal out the door to school. We're doing breakfast and snack and lunch and packing everything up. I'll just grab an IQ bar. That's my breakfast. Day gets started. Great. I feel wide awake. Good to go. IQ bars are totally free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial sweeteners. It's a totally natural anytime snack. 9 delicious flavors, including mint chocolate chip, chocolate sea salt, banana nut, toasted coconut chip, lemon blueberry, peanut butter chip. That's just the bars. There's also the IQ Mix Hydration product, which got me through a recent bout with the flu. There's over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting. More people than ever are starting their days on the right foot with IQ bars, brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Absolutely, I eat these all the time. I drink the hydration mix all the time. Again, flu season was bad. It would have been 100 times worse if I didn't have that IQ mix. And my wife, you will never find a bigger champion of the IQ Joe coffee sticks than one Hallie Bullitt, my beautiful wife. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, text the word beautiful to 64,000. Text beautiful to 64000. That's beautiful to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Quince. Wore the sweater the other day. I think I'm going to wear the sweater tonight. I'm doing a show tonight at a pretty fancy restaurant, so it's kind of hoity-toity. I'm going to wear one of my Quince sweaters so that I know I look good and feel good. And here's the best part. Having this feeling that you're wearing something stylish, very often that used to mean you broke the bank. You stressed out at the price point. But Quince gives you high-end versatile pieces at prices you can actually afford. You can upgrade your style. You can snag killer luxury essentials that sync with your vibe, but also respect your wallet. Quince has all the must-haves. Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50, iconic 100% leather jackets, comfortable pants for every occasion. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That's because Quince partners directly with top factories. That cuts out the cost of the middleman, and the savings get passed on to people like you and me. And you'll be happy to hear Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices along with premium fabrics and finishes. I really love that. I've talked about it endlessly. I've got my gray sweater. I've got my charcoal sweater. They both fit great. They've both been holding up now for a very long time. I will tell you, some of these premium brands that charge an arm and a leg for sweaters in particular, you wear them 3 times and then the seams in the armpits have holes. You sit here, you go, what? The craftsmanship at this price point is unacceptable. Quince, I wear the sweaters way more. I love the way they fit better, and absolutely none of that poor craftsmanship nonsense has showed up yet, and I wouldn't lie to you guys about that. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/beautiful for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/beautiful. You'll get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/beautiful. Thanks to our advertisers. Now, let's get back to the phone call.
Yeah, and they have commercials on TV for it, and their little mascot is basically a little box with arms and face and hands that like trots around and tells you, you know, have the box sent to you, poop in the box, send it back to us. Yeah.
I have pretty severe hemorrhoids, internal most of the time. When I get stressed out or when I don't eat enough fiber, this can change. When these first occurred, a part of it, I've talked about this on my HBO special, I was also prescribed Adderall for a while, which I later found out can agitate hemorrhoids because of dehydration.
Right.
Those of you who have dealt with hemorrhoids, and especially those of you who might in the future, when they get bad, like sometimes you will just see some streaks of red blood when you wipe. Other times you will feel like you have to have a poop that doesn't feel like it's a totally standard poop, and you will drop a load of red blood into the toilet. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've heard this theoretically. It's happened to me. I once had hemorrhoids so bad that were bleeding for so long that I went to the hospital because when I looked up how long a hemorrhoid should bleed for, it was 9 times longer. It was not good. It's not good. Dealing with the hemorrhoids, not a good aspect of my life, but I'm going to be very honest with the beautiful anonymous listeners. That being said, you have to take it seriously and get it checked out. But I was told when I first went to a doctor in a panic about why is blood coming out of my asshole. The doctor told me, you take it seriously, you get it checked out. In general, bright red blood means hemorrhoids. In general, if you have something that's more akin to a colon cancer, you're going to see blood that looks like it's dark, almost black, and dried, like what you might think of as like a real deep, dark color of dried blood. The doctor gave me that advice. I am not a medical professional. I'm not telling anybody to scoff at red blood, but I will say if you ever see a streak of red blood, you don't have to totally panic on a cancer level because
correct.
You want to go get it checked out, but red blood generally is actually, I'm not going to say a good thing, but a preferable thing.
That is correct. And two, when you were saying like about turning the toilet red, which that's a terrifying thing to see. But sometimes people have to remember, like, a drop of blood in the toilet's going to, like, completely spread out. So it's not necessarily that, you know, you just lost like 8 ounces of blood in the toilet. Because like so I'm a nurse and people call about this a lot. And I explain to people, like, when you put a drop of food coloring, like, in a bowl, it's going to quickly turn the whole thing red just because that's the way it works. So definitely, like you said, don't be completely alarmed. But if it continues to happen, it's definitely something to get checked out. And people have a lot of pain with hemorrhoids, and they can surgically remove them too.
Oh, yes, they can.
Need be.
And they use that.
Have you got to experience that?
Oh, have I been introduced to a world where I now know that there is a device called an anoscope? Yeah, I know about the anoscope, my nurse friends.
Cool.
Have I had an anoscope put up my butt? Yeah, I have. They can do banding where they put rubber bands around hemorrhoids and they fall off. And then they can also go in and surgically snip them for you when they're real bad. And yeah, there's a thing called an anoscope. You probably don't want to know about it, but when you get to your late 30s, early 40s, you might be introduced to the wonder of the anoscope. Also, one time had and tell me what you think about this from a professionalism standpoint as a nurse, once had a doctor helping me with my hemorrhoids, and I was lying on my side, and he and his nurse were probing around in there using devices, including an anoscope. And it was at that moment that the doctor decided to ask me what I do professionally. And when I said I was a comedian, the nurse told me her nephew wants to be a comedian, has been doing open mics, and wanted to know if I had any advice. And I said, now is not the time.
I would have to agree with that. Misdirected. Yep. Wrong place, wrong time.
Listen, I think nurses are the lifeblood of the medical industry. I also think
I like to think that too.
Yeah, and the front lines of it, the most patient interaction. Nurses are the ones on intake figuring everything out before the doctors step in with their perspectives, admittedly often expert perspectives. Also, from the perspective of driving for a volunteer first aid squad, I drop off patients and it's a group of nurses that's standing there at the ready to get everything moving. That being said, nurses are also completely desensitized to stuff that by the standards of average humans is completely fucked up all the time. So you can't ask me to give you advice on your nephew's comedy career while there are actual devices up my asshole. You're just not allowed to do that.
Yep.
And to all my nurses, love to the nurses, especially nurses in unions that have been having to get out there and strike and picket to make sure that they're not worked to a point of patient safety being an issue, that it's happening all over the country. Strikes in hospitals where nurses are going, we need limits on our hours for patient safety. It's not about us. It's about us. It's about people needing people who are awake and aware and alive. Love to the nurses out there on the picket lines. Needs more attention. That being said, I have great respect for nurses. You can't be asking me cash questions when there's a thing in my asshole. Can't do it. What kind of nursing do you do?
Yeah. I work in a primary care clinic. So a lot of my day is actually triage nursing. So the people that call and say, I just hit a poop and I'm wiping blood. Tell me what to do. So, yeah.
Is this...
I get a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
When you say primary care clinic, just phraseology, making sure I know an image in my mind. Is this closer to what I would call like a doctor's office or an urgent care?
No, a doctor's office.
Doctor's office. That seems like a nice...
Yeah.
That seems, from my sense of nursing, and I'm sure everybody has their different preferences, I would have to imagine that lifestyle-wise, there's some advantages to that over an emergency room or hospital environment that must allow you to have a little more agency over your own life.
Right. Weekday hours, no weekends, daytime hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I did several years working in hospice, third shift, before I moved to the clinic scene. And this is definitely a much better gig for a lifestyle.
Do you feel, based on your family history and the need for you to personally think so hard about colon cancer, do you feel like you have a finely tuned ear as a nurse for when other people might be either dropping the ball or a little bit in denial about maybe dealing with colon cancer? Or do you feel like you're more aware of it than a nurse who isn't in your position would be?
Yeah, no, I think I am for sure. And it's funny. So like at work, when people call in, it goes into like a phone queue. And so it kind of says why they're calling. And I've recently noticed that I tend to like lean towards those calls to take them because I feel like I can educate people a lot better on issues with their bowels. And if a lot of people call about questions about colonoscopies and how to do their preps and, you know, or my Cologuard was positive, what do I do now? And I think I've just learned over the years from my own experience having to educate myself on how to explain it to people so they understand. Because sometimes you get a doctor who's like, you know, talking in too many medical terms that makes absolutely no sense to anyone.
I'm going to ask, just because of my personal experience, how often do you get panicky calls from men who are 35 to 40 years old, where it's red blood and they think they have colon cancer, and you have to be the one to go like, come in for a test, but it's almost definitely hemorrhoids. And guess what? You're 37. You can't eat pizza 3 times a week anymore. How often does that happen?
Right. Well, I would say at least daily, there's usually a call about somebody with blood on the toilet paper.
Oh, I hate to laugh.
And it's funny because you're right. Like, it's the men, too, that are like, no, it's not because I'm, like, having hard poop. And no, it's not because I'm, like, sitting on the toilet for 20 minutes because I can't push it out. It's like, no, you have to explain, this is what a hemorrhoid is. It's basically an inflamed blood vessel. So when you're trying to poop something the size of a softball out a hole that's, you know, the size of a quarter, it's going to cause some problems in there.
Can you just say that again?
They're in denial that it has anything
Can you just
to
say
do
that
with
again
what
slower?
they've done.
Can you say that slowly just so the imagery really has time to sit in everybody's brains?
Yes. When the size of your poop is a softball and it's trying to fit out something the size of a quarter, it's going to cause problems, stretching, irritating, making things bleed. People also get anal fissures. Have you ever heard about that?
Oh, I've heard about a fissure. I've heard about an anal fissure.
Yep.
Let's inform the world what an anal fissure is.
That causes some bleeding too. So basically that's a little tear.
Mm-hmm.
And so because people are pushing things out too big or their stool's too hard, it basically rips the lining of your colon there at the end and causes bleeding and causes a lot of pain. And yeah, people enjoy having those too.
Oh, I love that you have a personal connection to this and are a nurse, which means nothing will shock you about poop talk. No,
not at all.
I really am blown away by it. True or false? Sometimes if you have hemorrhoids, it's a matter of like, don't sit on your phone after you're done pooping. You poop, you wipe, you get up, you walk away, and it leads to less bleeding. Is that true?
Yes, because the way you're sitting in the toilet is putting pressure on your rectum. And so the longer you're sitting there and pushing and spreading things out and stretching things,
Mm-hmm.
can cause more problems.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Because like when you're sitting on a chair, you know, your butt cheeks are like together. It's not like stretching open your asshole at all. But when you're sitting on the toilet, it definitely is.
I can't believe how casually you're just able. And because you're a nurse, we all know it's not shock value, that you're just like, yeah, no, it's stretching your asshole. You're sitting in a position where you got a
right. That's basically what it's doing.
Other things you've probably talked dozens of panicky men through. Hey, Metamucil, start using it. But also, Metamucil sometimes messes with people's stomachs and gives you the farts. There's another one in the green bottle called Benefiber. It's going to be a little more gentle on your system. Take it every single day, probably multiple times a day. You're pushing 40, dude.
Right, because that's the thing. People will take it, if they feel like they're constipated, take it for a day, think they're better, and then a week later it happens again. It's like at some point, especially as we age, women too, like we have to, make sure we're drinking a ton more water, taking fiber supplements if we're not eating fiber, or it's just going to keep happening.
Yup. Oh man, I'm going to be brutally honest. And I've never talked about even friends of mine don't know this. But listen, you're a nurse, and this is Beautiful Anonymous where I get honest. I went to the hospital for a hemorrhoid less than 6 months ago. Drove myself to the emergency room. It was bleeding. We're talking heavy flow for about 90 minutes.
Like soaking your underwear and stuff?
I've had the underwear soaked through. I've had the embarrassing wake up in the morning and my wife going like, change the sheets and then go to the doctor. I've had that where there's blood. But this was actually on the toilet where every time I went to wipe, the toilet paper would soak through. And I've had that happen, but usually that's a 10-minute or less thing, and it slows down, and it just kept happening for 90 minutes. And I said, at some point, I will pass out. And I went to the emergency room.
Right.
And then I totally forgot about it. I went to the emergency room. They had to do some checks. And then about a week later, I was driving for the volunteer first aid squad and had to drop off a patient. And one of the intake nurses was giving me this look of like, I recognize you from somewhere. And I wasn't going to tell her.
I know you.
I wasn't going to tell her, oh, you know me intimately. You have fingered my ass. You fingered my asshole. That's where you recognize me from. But now I'm here in the context as the guy who's helping to push in the stretcher from the ambulance squad, and you're going, how do I know you? And what do? Do you just lean over and go, it's because your finger has been inside me? Or maybe you're a big fan of Broad City, but I think it's the first one.
One of the two. Right.
Yeah. For real. It was wild.
What did they do for your hemorrhoids?
I'm going to pause there. The hemorrhoid talk is graphic, everybody, and I can't wait to put you through it. But first, some ads. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Delete Me does a ton of hard work on your behalf. They get out there and wipe you and your family's personal info from these very dangerous data broker websites. One of my favorite things about Delete Me, it's not just a one-time service. They're always out there working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal info you don't want on the internet. You get these personalized privacy reports, and I've now had 2 in a row where Delete Me has successfully gotten them my info off the internet to a degree, and it's not getting added back in anymore. And they keep monitoring it. And every time I feel like I can let out a sigh of relief. I can feel like my family is safe. I can feel like I am safe. And I know Delete Me is out there working hard, keeping my data mine, keeping it private. I have an online presence. I also have a kid. I also have been in some situations very recently that I can't even speak fully on, where I can't tell you how thankful I am that Delete Me has my back. And I know that at the very least, you can't just pay one of these data brokers, one of these absolute ill-intentioned data brokers, to make it easy to find all this stuff about me that is not yours to know. It's really, really a relief. It's really a source of strength, a source of peace, a source of calm in situations where calm is not always available, right? Things like identity theft, harassment, doxing. You've either been through it or you know someone who has. Delete Me can help, and they can give you a lot of peace of mind. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private. Sign up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code is beautiful. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. Now let's finish the phone call.
What did they do for your hemorrhoids?
What did they do? They basically checked them, gave me a script to go to GI. And honestly, just let me stay for a few hours to make sure that the bleeding stopped. And, you feel silly going in, but when it's been a lot of blood over 90 minutes, I said to Hallie, I was like, everything I'm seeing online is that at a certain point you go get checked out and it's the middle of the night and that means hospital. I could have called 911 and had my own first aid squad take me in, but I have to, because it's a free service, the volunteers. And if they drop you off, you do get to cut to the front of the line as far as intake goes. But I'm like,
oh, that's nice.
I work with these people. I can't have people who I regularly work with in the first aid squad also be the ones who pick me up at my house and I have to go. I'm bleeding pretty severely from my asshole in a way that's not great. So thanks for the ride. Can't do it.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Can't do it.
Yeah, no.
And my wife was like, should you really be driving yourself if you've been losing a lot of blood? Like, what if you pass out? And I go, if that's how I die, hide nothing in the obituary. Make sure the world knows. The funniest death, this guy was bleeding from his asshole so much that he panicked and went to the hospital and drove himself like an idiot and crashed into a tree and died. Put that in the front page of that's the lead of my obituary. Put that, chisel that into a tombstone. That's so good.
And then what's going to happen is every other man your age is going to call and freak out every time they have blood on the toilet.
I don't want people freaking out. Mine was severe. You're hearing it from your nurse perspective.
Yours was severe. Yeah,
you're hearing.
Agreed.
Oh, Chris, I'm a beautiful anonymous listener, and I can verify you have severe hemorrhoids. And you know
absolutely.
It. And I know. Anyway, I think it's actually very, very cool of you to say, I have a family issue where I have to be super, super on top of colon cancer screening. On top of it, I have people calling me throughout the day professionally who panic, and I'm able to give them advice. And for you to use this platform to just remind people, get your screenings done. A lot of people need to be reminded too, get your annual physical. You let years go by when you're in your 20s. Don't do it. Get your annual physical. Get all the screenings they recommend. Normalize the conversation for yourself now, because as we get older and our bodies start to shift in ways that are weird, you don't want to be in a panic about it. You want to know what your game plan is.
Preach, Chris, preach.
I'm validating that you called up and preached.
Yes,
and
that's absolutely why I called.
Are there, outside of your annual physical, your screenings that they recommend done in a timely fashion, are there other warning signs, whether they are signs of things your body might do, ways your metabolism slows down? Are there other things that you would say, don't ignore X, Y, and Z? Those are the things that warrant a screening for cancer.
Yeah, in regards to colonoscopies, like you said, at some point, having that dark blood, sometimes people say it's tarry looking when they have bowel movements. That kind of stuff is red flags. It could also mean other things besides colon cancer, but it's not normal. And I think a lot of times people just, start seeing something happen with their body and they just get used to it and think, well, that's just the way I am, but it's not. And I tell people all the time at work, like friends, family, like we're the only people that will advocate for ourselves. You know your body. If something doesn't seem right, keep pushing until somebody figures out what's going on. A doctor is there and great, and they're going to run all the basic tests. But if none of that's helping, you need to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially in a world where no one is happy with health insurance. Not patients,
right.
Not nurses, not doctors, not people who work in health insurance answering calls. No one thinks that system is working right. Have to advocate for yourself. Have to.
Yep. Doctors are great, but they're also, short-staffed. They're also trying to see way more patients than they should a day. And things get overlooked unless people are vocal and persistent in what they're feeling and how things are going.
Yeah.
They're not going to get taken care of, unfortunately.
Yeah. There's endless amounts of paperwork, a lot of which is necessary, but a lot of reasons that an overworked medical professional might go, I'm going to save you and me both a lot of time and trouble, but where you might need to be the one that goes, I appreciate that you're trying to do me a favor, but I really, really don't want to take a shortcut on this one. I'll jump through every hoop because something's wrong and I can feel it.
Right. And that's kind of what I've had to do with myself and learn over the years, because outside of having colonoscopies, I've needed to, check for uterine cancer. So I had to have a hysterectomy, and I get urine samples every year. And yeah, so, I needed, when I first found out about this and I moved states, I had a whole, this was before everything was completely online, but I had a whole binder full of all of my information and all my tests and all the things I needed to do, how often I needed to do them. And luckily I found a great doctor who was like, you know your shit, you tell me what you need and I'm happy to get it done.
Yeah. Do you feel like...
For me, it's been good, but like I said, I had to advocate for myself.
Do you feel like as a nurse, you get more respect advocating yourself than a person off the street would? Because you do, I don't want to demonize the medical industry, and I think people are very quick to, because it's an excuse to let their anxieties hold them back from getting the checkups and whatnot. I don't want to validate that, but I do wonder if...
Right.
There are people who I think feel dismissed or feel in over their heads. And I have to imagine as a nurse, doctors are just going to not ever roll their eyes at you or dismiss what you have to say. I have to imagine.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, I think I do. When I first started this whole journey, I wasn't a nurse. And I think maybe some of that is why I went into this field, to get more education in general on, different healthcare systems. But I feel too, like you said, people need to, I hate when people call and say, I Googled this and it says I have this.
Yeah.
And while education is great, and I promote people to do that, because sometimes if you're going to advocate for yourself, you need to do research, but make sure you're on reputable sites. Like Mayo Clinic websites, nothing straight Google, no AI stuff, just, things that are reputable and coming from hospital systems. So that's also my plug. Don't just Dr. Google it.
Also, even the reputable sites, I feel like we almost need as a culture to start building in some standards or customs, even maybe teaching kids, if you do go on, I remember once going on WebMD and convincing myself I had a testicular torsion and having a panic attack.
Ooh.
And figuring out that
right.
I love that you're a nurse, because nothing will shock you. I think I had honestly just rolled over on my own balls. I think I just rolled over and my balls got caught up in between my thighs. I was in
bruised.
I was in my 20s and I bruised my balls, just rolled over in my sleep and woke up like, oh, basically somehow rolled over and effectively kicked my own balls with my thighs. But go on WebMD in the middle of the night, convince myself I have a torsion, and you sit here and you go, the anxiety of that experience was worse than what I actually had. So you gotta be able to advocate for yourself and be able to use those reputable sites, but also understand that if you wind up having a false alarm and it's not that the stress, the panic, the anxiety, that's that's harmful too. You gotta know, who do you call? How do you pass off the ball to someone who can start helping you and giving you real information, and not just those websites, because it can do more harm than good on an emotional, mental level.
Yeah, I would always say start with calling your doctor's office before you do any Google. Start making those appointments, start asking questions. Because talking to a live person too, as opposed to just reading stuff, I try and calm people's nerves and explain to them all the possibilities, the likely possibilities, and what's probably going on. You can't do that. All you see when you're reading something online is like, oh my God, I'm dying of cancer, or I have a testicular torsion. What am I going to do? So I totally get that. I mean, I even do that myself, even though I'm in the medical field. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, ooh.
There's also just on a very basic general level, talking to someone like you, it's a good reminder of the positive mental effects of talking to somebody who's not panicking because they've seen it before is really helpful out of the gate a lot of times. Like there's something, not to bring it back to one of the gross things before, but when I pooped a bunch of red blood for the first time and saw it in the toilet bowl, I was freaking the fuck out. But then when you actually, Google can't tell you oh, chill out. I've seen it 1,000 times and odds are you're actually fine and eat more fiber.
Right.
Google can't tell you that, even if you can read it, hearing somebody's tone of voice that's like, and I know this too from driving on the first aid squad of just, there's something really peace inducing about getting around people that are like, yeah, I've seen this before. It's not as crazy. Like for you, it's crazy. You're having a really crazy night.
Right.
There's just kind of, I think, a lot of stuff that we all don't talk about as a society, and it's happening all the time, and we keep it behind closed doors, and we probably shouldn't, because you don't need to be panicking and unable to breathe and freaking out right now. Like you're probably going to be good. I've seen it 100 times. That's good to have.
Right.
That's a resource.
Yeah. And we've completely educated people today on pooping and buttholes and hemorrhoids and colonoscopies.
Yeah.
I think we've done good.
I think so. Buttholes. We've talked about buttholes. We talked about butt blood. We've talked about pissing out of your asshole. We've talked about having fingers in your asshole. We've talked about colonoscopies, which, let's be clear, are large tubes that shoot water up into your asshole. We've talked about drinking stuff that clears out your asshole. Are there any other topics we should cover along these lines?
I think that's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Sometimes having colonoscopies and doing the prep can flare your hemorrhoids.
Really?
Which isn't helpful either.
Okay, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
My last colonoscopy, the one caused by eating all those hot peppers at the Belmont Tavern down in Belleville. Great restaurant, by the way. Great, fantastic restaurant. Cash only. Get down there. I think you'll enjoy this. When I came to, the doctor comes by and tells you things that they've seen. And the doctor said, did you do all the prep, like exactly timed how we asked you to do it? And I was like, 100%. He's like, you didn't mess up or cheat in any way? I go, no. He goes, I'm going to tell you, like, on a basic level, I think part of why you're feeling a lot of discomfort is like, it's just like a lot of poop in there. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, like if you
you didn't clear it out.
Well, he was like, if you did the prep and it was this ineffective and there's still all this compacted poop after the prep I asked you to do, he's like, yeah, man, there's just a lot of compacted poop up there. I was like, jeez. And it's fiber every day.
Fun.
It's more vegetables.
Yep.
Soften up your poop, man.
That's right.
Simple as that.
It's amazing how much better you'll feel.
You're going to feel bad in your belly if there's a lot of poop that can't get out.
Yep. And sometimes, to be graphic,
Let's do
what
it.
can happen is your poop can cause an obstruction in your bowels, meaning nothing else can go past it. So if it needs to come out, it's got to come out the other end. I have literally seen people vomiting shit before. Good graphic, right?
Please tell me more. What's that look like? How do they react? It's actual poop can come out of your mouth?
Yeah, it's extreme conditions. This was when I worked in a hospital. It's like a CNA before I was actually a nurse. But yeah, when people get that backed up and it gets blocked, things just start coming out wherever they can.
Could that happen to me?
Let me tell you, it's an awful smell. Could that happen to you?
Based on the colonoscopy, based on the doctor saying there's a lot of compacted poop in there.
Probably not. I mean, you would have like horrible abdominal pain. You would probably be in the hospital before something like that would happen and hopefully taken care of. Like this person was in the hospital, just hadn't gotten to the point to figure out what was happening. So, I mean, if people sit on it and don't do anything and, you know, can't keep food down and can't poop and their belly is huge, those sort of things are red flags. Like, go in and get it taken care of.
And there are people who don't get that taken care of, and they can be in all sorts of abdominal pain. And you say you have personally witnessed that they start just heaving and actual brown poop comes out of their...
Yeah, it's typically not like formed in general, like because, you know, what happens when your body, you know, the things you eat go through your colon, it contracts, and so it takes all the liquid out, which turns your stool to be more formed. When you have diarrhea, it just moves too fast to happen. So, like, this stuff is at the high end of your, like, colon and intestine, so it's not bulky, for lack of better words. So it's basically, like, liquid, but it's very apparent by the smell and the color that there is stool mixed in with those contents. Yeah.
And do they know that? Do you tell them?
Who the people that it happened to, you mean?
Yeah. Like, does the
eventually.
And are they immediately assigned a psychiatrist as well? Because they've lived through the worst, the worst horror you can live through?
Yeah.
And how do you not think about it all day, every day for the rest of your fucking life? What?
Uh-huh. I bet. That's horrific. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they did. I wasn't part of that conversation, but that's a good idea.
I feel like that's real trauma. If I ever vomited and poop came out, I'd wander off into the hills and just want to be alone for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare. It's not like it happens all the time, but it definitely can.
Is that the most fucked up thing you've ever seen?
Probably. I mean, there's been some people, or when I worked in hospice, there's something called a Kennedy ulcer, which, you know, people are like sitting in one spot for too long or laying, they can get like pressure sores that eventually open up. Well, Kennedy ulcers are like they happen when people are dying. And it goes from like a red spot to like a full gaping, you can see bones and black tissue and stuff within days. And that's the most horrific smell I have ever smelled in my entire life.
And people are still alive, but holes open up where you see their bones?
Yep. It usually happens a lot right on their like sacrum, on the like end of their tailbone. Mm-hmm. That's horrible. It doesn't happen to everyone that's dying. I don't want to freak people out, but it definitely can happen.
That's one of the...
Especially when people are like bed bound for a while before they die.
I can't even. I can't.
It's always the smells that I remember. More so than just the sight of something. It's that smell. Mm-hmm.
I want to ask.
Maybe I need a psychiatrist.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Listen, I think we all do, but I think one's not going to hurt with everything you're saying.
Right. One specifically, to address these problems in my life. These memories, I guess.
I want to say something. I also know that with my very public relationship with mental health and advocacy, that I want to be clear. I'm not joking about it. There is a part of me that hears some of these stories and goes, why would I not just at a certain point go jump off a cliff rather than vomit up shit or have a hole open up in my tailbone where my bones are visible to the naked eye and it smells like death while I'm but it's a living death. Like it does. There is a death with dignity movement, and it does make me serious.
Firm believer in that.
You are.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. It's
and I unfortunately live in a state that does not agree with that. So who knows? I might have to move if I ever, get a bad case of colon cancer or something.
I'm sure you've seen family members, but then professionally, I'm sure you've also crossed paths with patients with cancer, maybe even colon cancer. And it's got to be the weirdest mix of empathy and compassion for them based on your history and your family's history, fear, and also clocking what the experience is like, knowing that your chances of getting it are so much higher than most of us.
Right. That could be me someday, yeah.
It is, we've joked around and managed to laugh a lot while talking about heavy stuff, but to hear you then say, oh, no, if I get colon cancer, I might move to a state that has better death with dignity policies. That's real shit to end the call on.
Yeah. I hope I don't ever have to do that, but I'm definitely not going to rule it out. Like you said, we can joke about it, and I think that helps people to understand and feel more comfortable. But, in reality, it's my reality. So knock on wood, I guess we can say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very scary. It's scary getting old. It's scary seeing how brutal and unpredictable life can be. It's really scary.
Yeah. It is.
You are so nonchalant
but still focus on the good.
You're so nonchalant. That's the nurse in you. The
That's the nurse in me, and that's the pet optimist in me, and that's the part of me that's trying not to cry about it.
Right. It's, I guess, it's funnier to joke about urinating out of an asshole than facing the reality of what it actually might mean should this become your reality someday.
Yep. That's exactly it.
On that happy note, thank you so much for talking. Are you down to stay and go behind the paywall with me to answer some random questions submitted by our community?
Yes, absolutely.
This was an incredible call. Thank you for reminding people, take it seriously, get your screenings done. It really is important, and I applaud you for getting those thoughts out there.
Thanks, Chris.
Caller, thank you so much for the graphic poop talk, the frank nursing discussions, and also the reminders that you gotta advocate for yourself. You gotta get your screenings, your tests done. It's really important. And this month, you are right. Colon cancer, go. Be aware. It's Awareness Month. Caller, thank you so much. Thank you to Andrea Quinn for producing the show. Thank you to Shellshag for our theme music. Go to punchup.live/Chris Gethard if you want info on when I'm going to be out there on the road. We've got a voicemail line, 973-306-4676. We've got an Instagram at Beautiful Anonymous Pod. The Facebook group where we discuss the episodes is Beautiful Anonymous, the community. We've also got a TikTok with best of clips. Thanks, everybody. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. Have you ever seen something you can't explain?
No. I mean, I can't think of anything right off the bat.
So no ghosts, no voices from beyond, no being around death and then feeling unsettled in the room that the death happened in a way that goes beyond your normal experience?
Yeah, okay, now that you say that, a lot of times I've been in the room several times with people that have seen children, for whatever reason, a lot of times it's children, like in the corner of the room.
That is a real nurse moment. You ever see anything that you can't explain? No, not really. Wait, upon further reflection, consistent running trend of people talking to children who aren't there when they are close to death. But outside of that, not much. Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.